right, you ready to rumble? Start talking about Pride and Prejudice again?
When am I not ready to talk about Pride and Prejudice?
I'm pumped. We get to talk more about Charlotte and apparently her tabby cat.
I did find some interesting things on Charlotte yesterday. We are not the only ones that think she's gay.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that when we get there.
Yeah, because I was like, I was hoping that someone had done like more in-depth research, because I was hoping that there'd be like clues. So I did see that someone wrote something saying like, oh, Jane Austen might have not intended for her to have been gay, but that she knew someone who was like secretly gay at the time, and that's how they behaved, and she wrote Charlotte based off of that, not knowing. So I saw that was a theory that was posed.
I could see that totally happening.
Yeah, because I don't know enough about Jane Austen's history to know if she intended Charlotte to be gay, but also, like, it wouldn't surprise me if she did.
Well, Jane Austen, I mean, she never got married. She was a single for her entire life.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought she had okay, maybe I was confusing her with someone else. I thought she had a husband.
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I know more about Mary Shelley for some reason than I do Jane Austen. Did you read that article I sent you?
You know what? I didn't read it yet, but I've got it bookmarked, so I'm going to.
Yeah, I'm going to. It tells like everything about her, and I love it. Apparently, there's a movie or something too about Mary Shelley that I didn't know about. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Pride and Prejudice. I am joined once again by Amanda.
Hi, everybody. How are you doing?
And we are going to be starting with chapter 28. And if you haven't listened to the first episode on Pride and Prejudice, make sure to go back and listen to that, because this continues on and it's all spoiler based. So if you haven't read the book and you haven't listened to episode 1, I would definitely recommend doing that.
Yes.
So with chapter 28, Elizabeth left her aunt and uncle's house and is now at Charlotte's house, which as soon as she came to Charlotte's house, I was immediately like nervous that their friendship was not going to rekindle in the same way.
Yeah, because they left with a lot of bad feelings, I think, between them. Because what's her face is what Charlotte was upset that Elizabeth didn't understand, and Elizabeth was upset that Charlotte would even marry him in the first place. So.
Yeah, I was like, ooh, this is going to be awkward for everybody involved. And then Charlotte is pretending that she doesn't hear all the embarrassing things Colin says, which I thought was hilarious. She was just like, whenever Collins would say something, Charlotte would be like, blah, blah, blah.
She handles him perfectly. She just lets him ramble and then ignores everything he says. It's perfect.
I know. I thought it was so funny. And then Mrs. Jenkinson and her daughter are in the garden by the Collins house, which, okay, in the movie, I was really disappointed that we did not get to see Collins's garden, because I thought it was going to be awesome, and I'm a little disappointed that we never got to see it. Like, he brags about this so much in the movie, or in the books, that I was like, oh, okay, they're going to show it, it's going to be killer, and then I'm like, well, didn't get to see that.
I had never even thought about it, to be honest with you.
I just was like, it was such a, like, Collins would not stop talking about it. So I was like, okay, we're going to see it. It's going to be like, I thought it was going to be good, but like not exceptional by any means, Mm-hmm. And it was just going to be one of those things that he was like, oh, this is so good and I do it so well. And it was just going to be like one shrubbery.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, I thought it would have been hilarious. So then we find out that Catherine's daughter is very thin and apparently looks sickly, but they don't really say what she has, which I thought was kind of strange. Like, they just said she was really thin, so I was just like, was she just one of those people that has a fast metabolism, and at that time that like people didn't really like when people were thin? I don't know.
She probably had an autoimmune disease because
Or
they
that,
talked
yeah.
about how she got sick real easy and stuff. And
Mhm.
at that point in time, medicine wasn't exactly in tip-top shape, so a weak constitution
Yeah.
is what they called it.
Yeah, I didn't know what that meant, to be honest. But yeah, I was like always wondering because I was like, oh, they keep referencing it, but they don't actually say what it is. But I guess they probably just didn't know.
Yeah.
So then they say that everyone's going to dine at Catherine's tomorrow, and then we move on to chapter 29. So at this point, Collins is telling everyone what to expect, and he tells Elizabeth not to worry. Lady Catherine will not think less of her because she is simply dressed. And I was like, oh, he's such a dirtbag.
He thinks he's so much better than Elizabeth just because he lives next door to Lady Catherine, and I just want to smack him upside the head.
Oh, I know. And it's just like he is at the same point, like wealth wise, they're basically the same before he was around Catherine, and now he thinks he's all high and mighty because he's around Catherine.
Yep.
So annoying. To Elizabeth, Catherine reminds her of Darcy, so she's not super worried. Wait, sorry, hold on. I read my notes wrong. Oh, to Elizabeth, Catherine reminds her of Darcy, so she's not wowed with Catherine because she thinks she's like pompous like Darcy is. And then Catherine starts pressing her to figure out who she is, what kind of money her family has, like if she's had a governess, which to me that sounds like a homeschool teacher, kind of like a teacher that comes to your house.
Well, a governess is normally somebody who lives with the female daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, not just homeschooling, but runs her life basically.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was like guessing it was something along that, but she was like shocked that the kids didn't have one.
So when we see the daughter, the woman that she's always with, Mrs.
Mm-hmm.
Jennings, that is her governess.
Okay.
Only because the daughter, whose name has totally left me suddenly,
I don't remember it either.
It has never been out in society or anything,
Mm-hmm.
and because she's so weak, instead of getting rid of the governor when she's reached a certain age, like is normal, mm-hmm. she's just stayed on as her permanent companion.
Okay.
So yeah, she is her governess.
Okay. When I was reading that part, I was like, so are you rich to have a governess, or is it like middle class people also have governess, or like what's the breakdown there, do you think?
Middle class people as well. Okay. And middle class people that have country homes that don't have to basically work for a living, that live off their properties and stuff, those sort of families would normally have a governess. Okay. That's why Lady Catherine was so surprised that they didn't have a governess, because she's a gentleman's daughter. And so that sort of household would be expected to employ that sort of person.
So are they kind of like, what's that called? When a family does like the no school? That's not what it's called. But instead of homeschooling, they go like world schooling.
Yeah. But I mean, at that point in time, they didn't have traditional schools, mm-hmm. nor did, especially even if they had traditional schools, like they had colleges and stuff, but women weren't permitted to go to them. Yeah. So any sort of education that a woman had to be done at home.
True. And then in my note, it just says, Catherine is so full of herself. Which I think is the understatement of the century.
And she doesn't even understand it. She thinks that this is normal, that everybody should be honored, mm-hmm. that she is so elevated above the world that we should be honored to listen to her ram on about how to play the piano, even though she admits she can't play the piano. She can't play the piano, but she's giving advice on it.
I know. She's like, well, if my daughter was able to go to school and stuff, she'd be an absolute talent. Everyone comes to me for my musical ear and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
So annoying. Exactly. So chapter 30. Every day, Charlotte and Collins make at least one trip over to Catherine's house, and Elizabeth doesn't understand it. Like, that seems like a lot. Like, I guess that Catherine likes the attention, so it's not like they're outstaying their welcome. But to me, it's just like, that's because you don't just go over there for 15 minutes. That's taking like an hour or two out of your day to go see someone every day.
Well, yes, Catherine most certainly loves the attention. She likes being fawned on.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, it's not like they've got jobs or anything to do.
That's true.
So.
Yeah, I can't imagine. As an introvert, I just couldn't imagine socializing every single day for a couple hours and being okay with that.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Just ripped my headphones out of my microphone. So, oh, wait, I already said that. Darcy said he'll be there. Catherine reveals that Darcy's going to be there in a few weeks to celebrate Easter. And then I was like, yes. And then it immediately jumps forward to Darcy's already there. So Darcy comes to the Collins house, and Elizabeth at that time mentions that her sister has been in town for 3 months and asks if he's had the honor of seeing her. And Darcy looks a little confused and says that he hasn't.
So I just want to let it be said that this point in time with them, Lady Catherine's together, is my favorite in the book. And the reason it's actually my favorite in the book is not because of this book. There is another book that shows Pride and Prejudice from his point of view, and it's almost perfect. You can have both books in one hand and read it like a dual point of view. I mean, it's just that it flows that seamlessly. And so this part of the book is my favorite, but only because when I'm reading Pride and Prejudice, the original, I'm like mentally reading his point of view, you know? So I see his interactions differently now that I've read the other one.
I feel like we're going to have a Patreon episode after I read Darcy's point of view, and it's just going to be me going, oh my gosh, you were so right. I can't believe it. Darcy and this point. And I'm just going to be going on and on about Darcy for like 20 minutes.
Girl, I could go on and on for Darcy for like 20 hours. I mean, what is there not to go on about?
Your husband hearing you from the other room, like, what?
Oh, he's well aware. Yeah, he's well aware. He's got black hair, and so I'm like, if you just a little bit taller, just a little bit. He's got the tall, dark, and brooding down. Let me tell you, my husband is all sorts of brooding. I said, if you just were a little bit richer, I can make this work.
Get his last name legally changed.
I tried to get him to dress up Pride and Prejudice for Halloween one year, but he shut me down hard.
Ah, dang.
I know.
I would have loved to see those photos.
Oh man, that'd been awesome. But oh well.
We can't have everything we want. So, chapter 31, Lady Catherine invited them over, but she does not seem overly pleased by it. So, I think she just kind of wanted to I think she wanted to invite everyone except Elizabeth over, but she had to also invite Elizabeth over because she was there. That's my theory, at least.
Well, I think part of the problem is she was not aware that Darcy and Elizabeth had already known each other.
Sure.
And then as she's watching, I mean, anybody that watches the interactions between them knows that even if they don't realize it themselves, everybody who watches the interactions between them knows there's something going on.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, and she's got designs for Darcy for other reasons. So watching him talk with Elizabeth, I'm sure did not make Lady Catherine all that comfortable.
Yeah, I'm sure that was like a big part of the reason too. And like how she kind of just tries to make Elizabeth feel like trash the entire time.
Yes.
So Colonel Fitzwilliam is talking to Elizabeth, and they're having an engaging conversation that every single person there gets jealous of. And this is one thing that I wanted to see in the movie, but they didn't show it, at least in the 2005. And then Catherine demands that they tell her what they were talking about, which is so annoying. It's so shady because it's like, I don't know. I hate when people do that when you're trying to have a private conversation and then they're like, oh, you guys are having fun. Just tell me. Like, you should be able to tell every single person here. And you're like, no, it's so annoying. And then Catherine says they need to speak aloud so that she can participate since no one has better taste in music than she. Because they mentioned that they were talking about music.
Oh.
And then Catherine says that Elizabeth will never get better if she does not practice every day, and that she made many offers to Elizabeth to come over and practice where she wouldn't be in anyone's way. So Elizabeth starts playing with the Colonel on the piano, and Darcy walks up and starts teasing him about the ball when he first appears. And like it's like, oh, but you didn't even want to dance with anybody. And I think she specifically is like, oh, to the Colonel, she says, oh, if I told you what Darcy was like when I first met him, you'd be appalled, right?
Yep. And then he's like, oh, pray do tell. And Darcy, by this point in time, he's relaxed enough around, because remember at the beginning they're like, oh no, you don't joke, you don't pick on Darcy, you don't, you know. But now he's relaxed enough around Elizabeth that he's like, okay, you know, I'll tolerate it, I'll put up with it. Go ahead and pick on me. So he's pretty cool about it by this point in time.
And then I think that's the first realization that Darcy was like, oh wait, that actually hurt your feelings. Whoops. Because he's like, oh, I'm so smooth. I'm a smooth operator. She totally likes me back. And then she's like, you were trash, and I heard you call me ugly. And he's like, oh, whoopsie poopsie.
But he's honest with her, though. He tells her, he says, I don't have the capability of easily conversing with those that I don't know, you know. Our poor Darcy has a little bit of an anxiety disorder, I think. Yeah. And so being around all those people freaked him out. He's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I totally get that. But it just, like, Elizabeth has no chill at all.
None. She's got all the subtlety of a bull in a china shop.
I know. She's like, you know what your aunt says? He says you should practice.
But she's trying to be mean to him. And at this point in time, he thinks she's flirting with him.
Yeah. She's like, you're trash. And Darcy's like, but I love you, though.
Hit me harder, please.
And then Elizabeth can tell that Darcy does not love his cousin, who everyone expects him to marry. And she's like, ooh, awkward. And Darcy's like, it's because I love you.
I know.
So chapter 32, the next day, Elizabeth is home alone and Darcy just rolls in. Like in the movie, they just did it so dramatically. Like in the book, I'm imagining he knocks on the door and he's like, oh, hey, what's up? But in the movie, he's like, bam, 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 and walks in the room. He's like, here I am.
I love the interpretations of the movie, because I read the book before the movie. And now every time I reread the book, and I've seen the movie so many times, that every time I reread the book, I have like the mannerisms of the movie in my mind. You know, I love the way they interpreted that onto the big screen.
I know. At some point, I'm gonna have to reread it, because the part where he enters the ball for the first time he's ever shown up and everyone goes completely silent and stares at him, I was like, whoa. It's like, that's so dramatic, and I thought it was so funny. But I was like, in my head, I didn't think anybody like really noticed that he was there. Like they noticed, but like not super. But the fact that everyone's completely silent spreads across the room so he can walk to the other side, and then everyone's like immediately resumes as soon as he passes. I just thought it was hilarious.
No wonder he's got an issue with crowds, right?
Yeah, I know. I would be a little uncomfortable if every single person stopped talking to watch me. Like, yeah, can't blame him there.
Nope, not at all.
So Darcy says that Bingley may sell the house near the Bennet family, and that's all that he really says, and he leaves after like 10 minutes. And Charlotte comes back, and she mentions that she thinks Darcy might like Elizabeth.
See, everybody can see it but them.
I know, and Elizabeth's like, no, and I'm like, yes. So chapter 33. Darcy keeps running into Elizabeth on her walks, and she's starting to think it might not be an accident.
But you see, she's so stupid. She's so stupid. I just want to hit her. And I hate it when women are willfully ignorant in romance novels. It drives me nuts. You know, of course he's trying to run into you, but she's like, oh, he's trying to antagonize me. He's trying to get a rise out of me. No, girl, he's trying to stalk you because he's afraid to talk to you. Okay, he just wants to follow you like a puppy dog.
It's because in real life, when women are experiencing this by men, they read into everything. We all know this. You know, you send one text and I'm going to read it 4 times and read it in different voices to decide exactly what you mean by it. Yeah. I don't just be like, oh, he just happens to run into me. No, this was planned.
She's willfully ignorant. And it, girl, get it together.
I know, it drives you up a wall.
Drives me up a wall.
So, the Colonel is joined in the guardianship of Miss Darcy, which I thought seemed strange. And I don't really have a reason that it seemed strange, but I just thought it was weird that, because you would think it would just be Darcy. Like, I think it's kind of weird that his cousin's also a guardian to the younger Miss Darcy. But maybe that's just my opinion.
Well, no, I think it makes sense because Darcy was still young when his parents died. He was like in his 20s, early, because if they've been gone for 10 years, that means he was like 18 when his parents died, or maybe 17, because we never know when Darcy's birthday is. So he was young when his parents died to begin with. And then that way that not all the responsibility falls on Darcy, but it's still someone else kept in the family.
True.
So no, I think it makes sense.
Yeah. I'm now realizing that they don't mention anyone's birthday at all the entire book.
And we're in the book for over a year.
Yeah. Now I'm realizing how many books don't mention anyone's birthday. It's like the same thing where it's like no one goes to the bathroom in a book.
I hate that. I wrote a book that took place in one night, and it was from my dudes. It was the first time I'd ever written a book from one point of view. I'm normally a dual point of view person. And I made sure for that very reason that, because the book's called One Night Only, so it's just one night. I made sure for that very reason that he went pee like 3 times in that book. And someone wrote, one of my fans commented, she's like, when does she ever go pee? I'm like, I can't help you with that. I'm sorry. I don't know.
You're like, that sounds like a her problem, okay? Like, I'm sorry that she has more bladder control than my guy has.
I'm like, well, you know, when he's not staring at her is obviously when she goes pee. I don't know.
She wore a diaper the entire time. I don't know. So Fitzwilliam, the Colonel, says that Darcy was congratulating himself on saving Bingley from a marriage to someone who is not right for him. And I'm really hoping that was a misunderstanding, but it was not. And, okay, so in the movie, that scene takes place in a church. It didn't take place in a church, right? Like, that just took place at Catherine's house. Okay. Yeah. I was like, am I remembering this wrong? Because I didn't think they went to church the entire novel, and then they were in that giant church.
Well, and I think part of the reason they were in that giant church in the, in the movie is because that's where our dear Mr. Collins worked. Yeah. So we had to show him having a little bit of
responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was a nice church, so can't say anything bad about it. But I was like, am I remembering this wrong? Like, I was so confused.
No, not remembering it wrong.
Okay, good. My memory lasts another day. And then from finding out this, Elizabeth is too upset to go to Catherine's and stays home and says that she has like a bellyache or something and like gets out of it. And everyone's like, oh no, like, are you sure? And Chapter 34, Darcy shows up and immediately he's like, okay, are you alive? Are you okay? Like, I heard you had a stomachache. What's happening? Like, he's basically like, can I do anything? Like, I will give you my soul if it means you heal.
He's freaking out, right? I mean, he's like, and you have to imagine what Lady Catherine must have thought, because they show up and they're like, oh, she's not with us. She doesn't feel well. And he took off like, right in the middle of the dinner party. He's like, oh my God, she's sick. And he's out of there. Can you imagine
Yeah.
how absurd that must have looked from the side of the dinner party?
True, because Catherine thinks they've met once, and now it's like, okay, there's more to this. Also, please tell me that that scene specifically is in the trilogy of Darcy's point of view.
Oh my God. Yes. Yes. And the night after, as he's writing that, the I'm jumping ahead of the plot line a few minutes, but that whole section where he's writing out the letter and everything, all of that as he's
Yes. I can't wait to see the drama of just that specifically.
I would so
I'm gonna have to order those after this call. I didn't order them last night. I should have, but I'm gonna have to order it. Okay, we're on chapter 34. So at this point, Darcy admits to loving her finally, and he's like, as she's supposedly sick with a stomach ache in bed, he's like, "Hey, by the way, I love you." And he proposes, and Elizabeth rejects him, unsurprisingly, because she is absolutely so shocked. And she's like, "Wait a second, wait one dilly darn minute, we hate each other." And Darcy's like, "Wait, what?" She's like, "We don't get along." And he goes, "I thought you were flirting."
I know, he's so just that poor Darcy. That's just poor Darcy.
That entire conversation is basically like they were on two different ends. They're not even in the same book. One was at the beginning, one was at the end, and they're trying to read at the same time.
It was yeah, I really feel bad. Of course, I mean, he proposed poorly, obviously,
True.
but this man has spent the last desperately in love with her, and since he's made it to Rosings, he's like thought that he's been courting her.
Yeah.
You know, he legit is getting dressed every day. He's meeting her every day. You know, he thinks this is a mutual thing going on. And she's like, "What? The what now?"
She's like, "You're stalking me." And he goes, "We're in love."
Yeah, Darcy, it was painful for him, and I felt every minute of it.
I know. He also could have proposed better, but you know.
Yeah, it was.
So Elizabeth goes on to say that the main reason she's rejecting him is because he caused her sister pain. And she also, at this point, brings up Wickham. And in my notes, I immediately write, "I hope we find out the truth here." And I was not disappointed. Yeah, I was not disappointed. Oh, and then my notes said, "Also, I forgot to mention that while he was proposing, he said he tried to get over her, but she doesn't have good connections, and he should be with someone more like him."
I know. He's so rude.
I'm like, do better, Darcy. Like,
but at the same time, in his mind, he thinks he's being honest with her. You know, he thinks giving her a gift, he's showing her honor by saying, "For all of these reasons, I should not, but I still do." He thinks he's like honoring her with this information, and she's like, "You are such a douche."
And she's like super offended, and he's like, "But I don't understand."
Yeah, he really doesn't grasp the concept.
Yeah, and then after all that, Darcy leaves, and Elizabeth is shocked, and she went to go hide in her room again. And we finally get to chapter 35, and this is where I noticed that I had been misspelling Wickham the entire time. 35 chapters in, and yeah, I definitely need to go, because I'm going to publish these notes in the Patreon whenever I get that set up. But I should definitely go through these notes before I do that and try and find every time I used Wickerham instead of Wickham.
That's funny.
So Elizabeth goes on a walk, and Darcy's out there waiting for her and hands her a letter, and then just immediately like turns tail and leaves, which I thought was kind of funny. So Darcy explains in the letter that he could see Bingley falling in love, but did not think that Jane was equally in love. And then because of that, and the lack of good connections that the Bennet family has to offer, they decided to separate them. So Darcy goes on to explain that Darcy's father provided for Wickham to go to school. Oh my gosh, in all these parts, I just crossed out the ER that I put in Wicker. I need to get it together. It's okay.
That's adorable.
So, however, Darcy started to see that Wickham had ulterior motives, which he did not like. So, Darcy's dad wanted Wickham to be part of the church, but Wickham did not want to do it. So Darcy, instead of helping him in the church like he suggested, he instead gave him £3,000 to pursue a law degree. The law degree ended up being a fake, and Wickham wrote to Darcy again. I have to like rewrite Wickham every time I say it in my head because I'm reading it and I'm like, nope, that's not right. Wickham wrote to Darcy again after 3 years of no contact and said he wanted to be ordained and asked to be presented to the living in question, which Google did not tell me what this means. So is that him saying that he wanted to be a part of the church?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So that means he wanted to, because when they say a living, it's if it provides the house and the income.
Oh, okay.
If he takes up the duties of the church.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, he wanted the money in the church. He wanted the job, basically.
So my guess was that meant he was trying to marry Darcy's sister.
Well, you're not too far off.
I know, that was my continuous guess, was that he was trying to like marry his sister or something along those lines, and that's why Darcy didn't like him. But like, also yes, like I wasn't technically super incorrect.
Nope, not at all.
So then we find out that Wickham followed Georgina Darcy and apparently tricked her into falling in love, and she consented to an elopement at the age of 15. And Darcy found out about it and wrote Wickham to tell him off, and then Wickham ended up running away.
Yep.
Which she's technically not even like quote out yet, right?
Right, and nope.
So she
especially
can't get married.
At that point. Well, she could have technically, but because there's no like age limits at that point in time.
Yeah.
But yeah, she hadn't been presented to society.
Oh, okay. So I was like, I didn't know if she wasn't able to get married until she was presented to society, or like how that necessarily worked.
No, she could still get married at any time, but being presented to society, normally at that point in time, when a woman is presented, they go through like this whole ceremony at the Church of St. James in London. I think it's the Church of St. James. But they go through this whole ceremony where they're introduced to the king and queen, and they do a little bow and they wear a little dress. And then they do it with all the other girls that are coming out that season. And then they spend the season, quote unquote, down in London, going to parties and meeting men and basically trying to land a husband. So like this whole entertainment season is built around young women and young men trying to hook up.
Oh, very good. In the most tame hand-holding way possible.
Yes.
So, chapter 36, Elizabeth is absolutely shook, and she does not believe that Darcy did not know about Jane caring for Bingley, but she is shocked about the things that happened with Wickham. Elizabeth keeps thinking it over and is realizing that there were a lot of holes in Wickham's story, and she's very upset with herself over how she acted. Like, at this point, she's like laying in bed at night, and she's like, oh no. Oh yeah. Because that was just... It's like when you trip in like the cafeteria at school and like food spills all over you and you just can't stop replaying it in your head over and over and over again.
You're 30 years old and you're daydreaming about the time you fell in high school.
I know, and you're like, I will never, like, people probably think about this, and no one does, but like you continuously think about it.
Oh yeah.
So after a couple of hours of walking, Elizabeth returns home. Like a couple of hours of walking. I was like, oh, she just basically ran away for a little bit and then came back.
That's exactly what she did. And can you blame her? I mean,
no,
really?
I definitely couldn't. she probably had a lot to think about, and she's probably just sitting on a bench somewhere looking at squirrels and being like, I can't believe what I've done.
And rereading that letter over and
Mm-hmm.
over and over again.
Because she's trying to find holes in Darcy's story and she can't find any, and she's like, oh no.
Because the more she reads it, the more Wickham's behavior makes sense to her.
Yeah. Ugh. So after a couple hours of walking, Elizabeth returns home, and both Darcy and the Colonel called on her while she was out, and the Colonel having stayed an hour waiting for her.
Colonel he couldn't get in on that, but that doesn't mean he didn't like it. He could, they can't get married, but they can flirt all they want.
Mm-hmm. I kind of expected the Colonel to be hot, So chapter 37, both Darcy and the Colonel leave the next morning, and then everyone goes to Catherine's for dinner again. Catherine is trying to convince Elizabeth to stay for another week, which I didn't really understand why she was trying to convince Elizabeth so badly to stay when she didn't even really like Elizabeth, but I wonder if she just liked having someone to bully.
Oh, yeah. Oh, most definitely.
Yeah. That was kind of my guess.
I think she likes Elizabeth up until the fact that she realizes that, because Elizabeth, one of the things that people like Elizabeth is she's not like a lot of the other girls. She's mouthy. She doesn't apologize for being mouthy. And that, when you're used to people, being sycophant all day long, that could be a nice change of turn. I think her main problem with Elizabeth comes when she realizes that Darcy wants to marry Elizabeth, at which point then the real issues.
Yeah, now she's like, oh, I don't like that. So Elizabeth says that she can't stay and she needs to get back home because her dad needs her for something, which is basically like that high school excuse where you tell your mom to say no before you ask. She's like, I can't stay. If I stay, I'm going to kill Lady Catherine. So say no. Say I can't come home. Like I have to come home. Thank you everyone so much for listening to this episode of the Barely Bookish podcast. It was so much fun to record, and honestly, just thank you so much, Amanda, once again for joining me. If you want to find Amanda, she is at Instagram at Amanda_Faye_books. She's on Facebook.com at Amanda Faye Books. She has a website at AmandaFayeBooks.com. And she has so many books on Amazon. I highly recommend you check them out. Just thank you so much once again, Amanda, for joining me. If you want to find me anywhere, I basically have all sorts of socials. I'm at Barely Bookish on basically everything. I even have a TikTok if you want to see me apparently recently making a lot of From Blood and Ash and A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I make a bunch of videos about that because that book is amazing, and if you haven't read it yet, please do yourself the favor of going and reading it now, whether you check it out from a library or if you borrow it from a friend or you buy the book yourself. Whatever you do, please read it. It is so good. I absolutely adored it. It's honestly one of my top favorite books right now, so please read it. And then if you want to watch me make moronic TikToks about it, follow me on TikTok at Barely Bookish. Didn't think I'd ever say that one day, but here we are. Welcome to 2020. I have nothing else to do but make TikToks for everyone. If you are getting a lot of the Corona blues and you want to virtually talk to some people and you really want to make some bookish friends, please join the Barely Book Club. It's on Discord. We read a lot of different books. It's a great way to talk to people, and right now we're reading A Song of Race and Ruin. We just did the first reading, so we're starting the second reading. We started the second reading on Monday, so make sure to join us. And if you're listening to this in the past, or listening to this in the future, if this is the past for you, if it is no longer October of 2020, then we probably are reading something else, but we're constantly changing the book and looking for new recommendations and finding new books to read. So please join us and talk about books with us. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, we really like to read. So please join the Barely Book Club if you are looking for a new virtual book club. It's on Discord, and you can find it by going to barelybookish.com/connect. Or if you look in the description of this video, that link will be there, so you can join us on the Discord. So that's basically all I have for you all. Our logo was designed by my little sister Sarah. Our theme song is Video Game Blockbuster by Raphael Crux on freepd.com. And that's all I have. I will catch you in the next one, and we will be continuing on with our reading of Pride and Prejudice. So make sure you read the next round of chapters. Honestly, just please read the whole book. Because I already read this when I recorded this, so I don't want to spoil anything for everybody. If you haven't read the whole book, please read it, because avoid spoilers and all that good stuff. But I will catch you in the next one. Bye!